Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. We're going to talk about the numbers for the month. I have a great guest in the second segment, Tim White from our office, talking about some of our technological advances soon to be coming up at the Registry of Deeds. And last but not least, in the third segment, we talk about some of our great Plymouth County history. So the headline for the month was Climbing Interest Rates Take a Toll on the Market. And you're going to see that in a bar chart of deeds. Deeds is a listing of sales of property. There were 880 deeds recorded in September, less than the 1196 in August, down 5% from the 1,000 deeds last September. Clearly, interest rates have gone up 8 times since the Federal Reserve started bringing about higher interest rates, 3 times this year. And the average interest rate has gone up to the highest for a 30-year mortgage, has gone up to its highest level in 7 years. And we believe that's taken a toll on the marketplace. Clearly, there's a shortage of inventory out there, but when you combine the two, it's impacted the amount of sales that we record. Next image you're going to see is of mortgages. Now, mortgages have for quite some time also been the victim of higher interest rates. Although people are still taking out mortgages to purchase property, the amount of refinancing of mortgages has gone down for several years now. But there were 1,542 mortgages recorded in September, less than the 1919 in August, down 19% compared to the 1894 in September 17. So for the first 9 months of this calendar year, they're down 8%. Now, foreclosures have also been significantly lessened over the years, although there are still some individuals that have trouble paying their mortgage, and if they're facing difficulty, they should reach out to a federal housing counselor. But there were only 44 deeds recorded in Plymouth County for September, more than the 41 in August, and 17% less than last year. However, through 9 months of 2018, foreclosure deeds are down 18%. Next, foreclosure notices. A foreclosure notice is when we know someone's in trouble. They've gotten a notice from their lender that they're starting foreclosure. There were 45 foreclosure notices in September, down from the 71 in August, 5% less than the 43 last September. And although we saw significant drops last year, only 1% for 9 months. And last but not least, you're going to see a listing of foreclosures by all 27 communities. So with all this somewhat negative news, the average sale price in Plymouth County has increased 9% from $386,816 to $420,632. Our training room is open to the public again Thursday, November 8th. Take advantage of that. It's a great way to learn how to navigate the registry. And my guest on the next segment of the show is Tim White, the Assistant Register of Deeds.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation.
We can
get someone the cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can
intervene.
It's on us.
All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. Once again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. We've had surveyors, commercial real estate brokers, a lot of realtors, planning board members, assessors, and anyone involved in the real estate community. I have a great guest for this segment of the show, and that is Tim White. Tim is our Assistant Register of Deeds, and he has been intricately involved in some of our ongoing technical and technological updates at the Registry of Deeds. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.
You've been a guest before.
We have.
Yeah, so I thought it would be good, once again, to kind of circle back. We've done a lot of guests that talk about their perspectives of what's going on in the real estate market, what is happening out there futuristically, but more from a practical level, what are the ongoing things that people are going to see coming up offered by the Registry of Deeds.
Sure, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and if we do this once a year, it's a good way to keep people up with all our advancements. We want to modernize the registry in every way we can, and I think we've done that, although there's still some things to do.
There's always things to do, but we have a lot of things that are kind of cooking in the oven right now, and pretty exciting things when it comes to real estate transactions here in Plymouth County.
So let's talk about the electronic recording for land court. We've been doing electronic recording for recorded land for about 10 years. Clearly, the ability for lawyers and banks to send things in over the internet has caused great conveniences. And although land court, as we call it, registered land, is only 10% of the registry, and a very complicated 10%, it's something we really have been working on and really want to bring forward.
We do, and just to kind of backtrack a little bit, at the registry we have two departments. We have the land court department, which you indicated it only has 10% of the land in Plymouth County.
Right.
And that land, at some point, there was some sort of dispute or issue relating to it that required a land court judge to make a judgment on it so that it now sits in land court. And the 90%, which is the registered land on the other side. And the registered land we've been electronically recording for, at least 10 years now, right?
Right, on recorded land.
On the recorded land.
Yeah.
And now we are opening up our electronic recording to land court starting this week.
So we average about 45% of the recordings that come into the registry come in over the internet currently for the recorded side.
Yeah, the nice thing about it is the attorneys can actually close the sale and record right from the comfort of their own office.
Distribute checks on site at their offices usually, close their file, and get everything they need into one nice package.
Yeah, so it would be nice to open it up to the land court side. But as you said, land court transactions typically tend to be a little bit more complicated than the recorded land side. So there will be obviously the opportunity still to come into the counter. That's not something that we're going to be stopping doing. But for attorneys, the convenience of being able to close a land court closing electronically is a great upgrade for us. And we're excited to get there.
So for members of the public looking in, wondering whether their property is recorded land or land court, the easiest way to do it is look at your deed. If it has a book and page number on it, it means it's recorded land.
Right.
If there's a certificate number, because that is what is issued after a court decision, a new land court certificate for property, then you know your property is in land court.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So that's going to be good. It's coming along pretty fast.
Yep. Imminent. Absolutely imminent.
Hopefully
so that's good.
within the next.
And it's been quite a effort to get it in place. This has been something we've been working on for a year now.
Yeah, well, clearly, it as complicated as land court is, we have gone through all the multiple complications as compared to when we instituted recorded land.
Right.
And we're almost there.
We're almost there.
And our software company had to make some significant adjustments to do that, but we're soon be there. If you follow our website, we'll put it up once it's available.
Right.
So let's talk about a couple other technology improvements we have coming along.
Sure.
I know that for our linked index, which basically puts up an easy way for the general public to follow property searches, we're back to 1874 and expect to go back to the founding of the county, 1685, shortly.
Right. And that's, we've made terrific advancement in the past year because last year at this time we were at 1950. So now we've gone back to 1874, and we would anticipate getting back to the founding of the county, hopefully sometime in the next month or so.
Right.
And the important things I think about is the link. The linked index allows you to link back documents going back right through to do a title search, and allows you to follow your title right through the entire process.
So another project that we are close to signing up is the transcription, changing some beautiful 1700 primarily handwriting into readable American
Typewritten.
lettering.
Yeah, that's exciting. This one is particularly exciting to me. Because you're going back with the historic records, and those are always very interesting to look at. But most of them are in that cursive handwriting of the old days, and some of the language back then is unfamiliar to us. So with our transcription project, we're going to be able to put the handwritten document on the page, and next to it have the transcription next to it, so that you can go back and forth between the documents and really get a terrific understanding of what was going on back in the 1700s.
And as we knew 20 years ago, the world's changing. Nobody would have had the internet demand that they do now back in those days.
Right.
However, as far as reading the documents, there are a whole generation of people being educated without cursive. So if you don't write cursive, how can you read cursive?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting seeing how that goes forward.
Yeah,
with the next generation.
But it'll be a good benefit to the public.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it'll probably take a while before you see it, although we will try to do it in blocks so it shows the progress.
Right.
And last but not least of our current projects is something regarding the colonial records. You want to describe that?
Sure. The colonial records are the records that actually precede the county. So they start from 1620 until 1685.
Yep.
And of course, all of those records are in the old cursive handwriting. And we are in the process of making those records, again, more accessible to everybody online via a linked index. So.
Yeah, we're rapidly closing in on the year 2020, the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the
Pilgrims,
Mayflower
yeah.
and the colonists and the Pilgrims. Clearly, we want to, it's only a small number of books. We hope to have that done by that celebration.
Yeah, and we can already see, from our perspective at the registry, the interest starting to build in these records, as we've had a number of folks come in that they wanted to take a look at the colonial records.
Right.
So the more, the easier we get them to read and to link and to understand, the better off we'll be. And we'll be ready to go for 2020, I'm confident of that.
So I know you've had a lot of fun with those as we have gone month to month trying to come up with one for our end of the month display. Do you want to talk about the one we're having this month?
Sure. I mean, each month you do a newsletter for the public to let them know what the state of real estate is in Plymouth County, and the number of sales and mortgages and the like. But at the end of the newsletter, we have, for about a year and a half now, included a notable colonial record that I actually get the chance to research and come up with a variety of different historic documents. And the one that we have this month is actually perhaps the first example of public transportation. It's the colonial government authorized a fellow by the name of John Rogers, who came over on the Mayflower, to run a ferry across the Jones River, and he was allowed to charge the passengers 1 penny per person. There you go, your first public transportation, the first ferry, and here we are 400 years later, and we have ferries going down on Nantucket and over to Martha's Vineyard, and from Hingham to Boston and Salem to Boston. So it's a form of public transportation that's been around now for 400 years.
So I know in the past we've talked about the colonial court's decision to allow trial by jury in America. We've had some fun with that down in our building. The first canal in America, when they authorized, they meaning the court, colonial court authorized people to dig a canal by hand connecting Duxbury Harbor
with Green Harbor,
saving the ships from going across the shoals of Gurnard Point in a whole range of things like that.
Oh yeah, a ton of firsts. The first town clerk, the first ferry, the first gristmill.
Right.
It's just, the firsts are obviously pretty predominant when it comes to the colonial records.
And there are millions of people across America with roots that originate with the colonists. And so simple things like the Miles Standish will to the Miles Standish Society is so important. The Mayflower Society has brought a number of people into our reading room. We have a temperature humidity control vault in a separate reading room that individuals, authors, historians, and others have come and looked at the primary source. And many times, as anyone knows that does research, when you look at a primary source, you may get a different look at it from things that don't get transcribed very well.
Well, we have a great example of that.
Why don't you share that?
You talked about the trial by jury. If you look at the trial by jury, the transcription, it's an accurate transcription of what it actually says in the original colonial records. But what it omits is that where it says you're going to have a right to a trial by jury by 12 men, it actually says 12 men crossed out, honest men inserted. So it says 12 honest men versus just 12 men. And it's to see that cross out and to put yourself around that table when those colonists were coming up with this law to go forward, to live by, that it was important enough for them to revisit, to strike, and to rewrite it as honest men.
And I don't think anybody enjoyed it any more than Chief Justice Gantz, the Chief Justice of the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court.
Oh, you could see it in his eyes.
Yeah, he
was absolutely enraptured by it.
Appreciated to see the original beginning in America.
Yeah. First right to trial by jury in our country. How better does it get than that?
So as we go forward with new technology initiatives, clearly all across government, there's going to be efficiencies trying to put in place. The ability to do a notarization from out of state, trying to go with a completely paperless society. Realtors, I can tell you, between their iPhones and their iPads, when they conduct their business, it's a lot different than it was when I was practicing, because a purchase and sales agreement, for example, never ends up on paper. It's all over the internet, on a pad, iPad signatures, not even in the same location. And that's the demand of people for real estate in the future.
And money being wired.
Yes.
As opposed to a check.
Right.
So
Right.
times are changing, and like we talked about, we have a number of projects going on right now, but it'd be interesting to see what our project's going to be on our plate next year.
Right, that's for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
You bet.
Sharing that information. And to our viewers, I'll see you in the next segment.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
So I want to thank Tim White from our office for the great presentation he did on some of our technological advances upcoming at the Registry of Deeds. Clearly, technology advances very quickly. Government is still sometimes behind government, but we're trying to take some of those efficiencies, customer service-oriented types of things, and bring those into our operation. And as you heard, some of those things will be of great service, particularly to people in the real estate community. So in this segment of the show, we always do something a little lighter in nature, some of our great Plymouth County history. First of all, the holidays in October. So October is a celebration of breast cancer and domestic violence. October 8th, and we've already been through this, was Columbus Day. The 24th will be United Nations Day. And the 31st, that great children's holiday, Halloween. So I'm going to bring up some of our, the Plymouth County notable land record collection, and always try to tie them to current events. First one you're going to see is of Thomas Edison. Many people know Thomas Edison did a lot of his electrical experimentation in Brockton through the Edison Electrical Illuminating Company. He was a world-famous inventor, and he was responsible for some very experimental projects. They bought a building downtown, bordered by School Street, Montello, and Lincoln Street. You can see it today. But in 1883, Edison threw a switch, giving Brockton the first 3-wire underground system. It was very environmentally friendly, didn't result in the removal of trees. And I've noticed with all of the challenges we're facing elsewhere around the country in Massachusetts, the hardening of an electric system by putting it in the ground, although cost expensive, is something that is being evaluated. So we're actually going back to projects that Thomas Edison did in the 1880s for our solutions going forward. In October '84, the City Theater in Brockton became the first theater electrified by an underground system. The Brockton Central Fire Station on Pleasant Street was also the nation's first electrically operated fire station, and we had the first residential customers from a central generating system on Green Street. Clearly, what is now the location of the old Colony Planning Council is a place of very historic proportions. Now, as I was preparing this show, we were going to have some really tense discussions about what was happening with the Red Sox. So, of course, what I did was take a couple of our very famous Red Sox players that had a connection to Plymouth County. Ted Williams owned a baseball camp in Lakeville. Certainly many people say he was the greatest player ever. Hopefully there's some players on this team that'll prove otherwise as they go forward. But he's a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, American League Most Valuable Player, and Triple Crown twice, and a Marine fighter pilot. He purchased a camp with a pal in 1959, and he ran an annual fundraiser for the Jimmy Fund. Town of Lakeville purchased the property. It's now the site of the Lakeville Public Library and the Lakeville Senior Center. It's located next to Loon Pond, one of the places where Ted Williams used to fish. We all knew what a sportsman he was. So I tried to bring in a Plymouth County connection with a Yankee connection, and the closest I could come was Dominic DiMaggio. Dominic DiMaggio was one of the great DiMaggio family baseball players, born in San Francisco, son of Italian immigrants from Sicily. While they were fishermen, the kids started playing baseball and became professional. Everyone knows, and they saw some plaques broadcast over the year from Yankee Stadium of Joe DiMaggio, and what a great player he was. But a lot of people overlook Dom DiMaggio. He was nicknamed the Little Professor and played his entire career for the Red Sox. And he lost 3 seasons while serving in the Navy, but he was a great center fielder and leadoff hitter. And after retirement, he became a successful businessman and lived in the town of Marion. So I want to thank Lorda Green and Christine Richards and the folks here at Brockton Cable Access for putting this show together. This is my 96th show here at Brockton Cable Access. So we take this show, I burn some CDs, and we send them out to local access providers throughout Plymouth County so we can share for people information about what for people is, for most people anyways, their most valuable asset. So thank you for watching the show. I'll see you next month. We'll see where the Red Sox go between now and then, and I hope it's a success.